Most men believe rejection happens because they said the wrong words. What they don't realize is that rejection usually happens long before a single word is spoken. And near the end of this video, I'm going to reveal the quiet internal signal a woman feels right before she says yes or no, often without even knowing why. If this kind of understanding matters to you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Not for algorithms, but because this conversation is about becoming more aware, more grounded, and more emotionally intelligent as a man. Now listen closely. When men ask for intimacy and feel shut down, embarrassed, or confused, they often blame timing, attraction, or luck. But as a psychologist, I see something far more consistent. Rejection isn't usually about desire. It's about emotional safety colliding with emotional pressure. Most women don't resist intimacy itself. They resist feeling pushed into a moment they haven't emotionally arrived at yet. Here's the part most men were never taught. A woman's openness to intimacy is not unlocked by boldness alone. It's unlocked when her nervous system feels calm, seen, and unthreatened, while still feeling emotionally engaged. That balance is rare, and when it's missing, even a kind, respectful request can feel uncomfortable to her. Men often think asking directly is honest, and it is. But honesty without emotional awareness can still feel abrupt. Think of intimacy as a door that opens inward, not outward. The harder you push, the more resistance you create. But when the space behind the door feels safe, the door opens on its own. This is where many men misunderstand psychology and call it dark. In reality, it's not manipulation, it's attunement. A woman becomes receptive to intimacy when she feels emotionally chosen, not emotionally cornered. When your presence communicates, "You are free here," rather than, "I need an answer from you." And this is subtle because men are taught to pursue, escalate, and be decisive. But intimacy doesn't grow from escalation. It grows from containment. When a woman senses that your desire is stronger than your self-control, her body prepares to protect itself, even if she likes you, even if she trusts you, even if she wanted closeness just moments earlier. But when she senses that your desire is calm, grounded, and not urgent, something shifts. She feels respected without being pedestalized, desired without being pressured, seen without being consumed. And this is crucial. Women don't open up to men who want intimacy. They open up to men who are safe with it. A man who can hold desire without rushing it sends a powerful psychological message. "I am present. I am grounded. I don't need to take from you." That message creates attraction far more reliably than confidence, charm, or clever words. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to ask for intimacy in a way that doesn't trigger resistance, but instead allows her to arrive there willingly, with you. And it begins not with what you say, but with what your emotional state quietly communicates before you ever ask.
Before a woman responds to your words, she responds to your emotional posture. This is something men are rarely taught to observe in themselves. Most men focus on timing, location, or phrasing. But what truly determines her response is whether she feels emotionally held or emotionally evaluated in that moment. When a man asks for intimacy while internally hoping, waiting, or needing a certain outcome, a woman can feel it instantly. Even if he says nothing wrong, even if his voice is calm, even if his intentions are good. Why? Because emotional pressure is not verbal, it's energetic. A woman's nervous system is highly attuned to shifts in expectation. When she senses that saying no might disappoint you, change your mood, or damage how you see her, her body doesn't feel free. And when freedom disappears, desire follows it out the door. This is the quiet reason many men experience rejection repeatedly without understanding why. They are asking from a place of wanting to be chosen, instead of a place of choosing connection without attachment to the outcome. Let me say that more clearly. A woman becomes receptive to intimacy when she feels she can move toward it without managing your emotions. If she senses that your confidence depends on her answer, her instinct will often be to protect both herself and the emotional space between you. Even attraction pauses when emotional responsibility is placed on her shoulders. This is not a flaw, it's self regulation. The men who rarely face rejection aren't more attractive or more aggressive. They are emotionally complete in the moment. Their desire exists, but it isn't demanding reassurance, validation, or proof. When such a man expresses interest in intimacy, it doesn't feel like a test she might fail. It feels like an invitation she is free to accept or decline without consequence. And paradoxically, that freedom makes acceptance far more likely. There is another subtle mistake many men make. They wait until desire becomes intense, then suddenly shift the emotional tone of the interaction. What was playful or warm becomes serious. What was relaxed becomes focused. That sudden change alerts her nervous system. She may not consciously think something is wrong, but her body notices the shift. And when the emotional environment changes too quickly, hesitation appears. Instead, intimacy grows when emotional closeness and physical interest rise together, gradually, naturally, without a dramatic pivot. This is why presence matters more than strategy. When you are fully present, listening without anticipating, touching without expecting, speaking without rehearsing, your request for intimacy doesn't feel like a demand. It feels like a continuation of what's already happening. A woman rarely rejects intimacy itself. She rejects the moment when it feels disconnected from emotional flow. And this is where many men misunderstand confidence. True confidence is not asking boldly. It's being emotionally steady, regardless of the answer. When a woman feels that steadiness, something deep inside her relaxes. She doesn't feel examined. She doesn't feel rushed. She doesn't feel responsible for protecting you. She simply feels safe enough to want what she already feels. And once that safety is present, asking for intimacy no longer feels risky for either of you. Now, we move into one of the most overlooked aspects of intimacy: patience combined with presence. Most men believe they need to accelerate the process, to prove desire, or to demonstrate confidence. But the truth is far subtler and far more effective. A woman's receptivity is rarely about timing in minutes or hours. It's about internal alignment. She needs her nervous system to feel both engaged and safe. And that alignment is rarely instant. It builds gradually when a man doesn't just act on desire, but embodies it without rushing it. This requires patience, not as waiting passively, but as active presence. Many men mistake patience for inaction. They think, I should just hold back and let her come to me. That's incomplete. True patience means maintaining your own centered state while staying emotionally attuned to hers. It's a dynamic balance, fully present, fully responsive, yet never demanding or clutching. When you achieve this, something remarkable happens. Her mind and body stop scanning for danger. She stops worrying about whether she is disappointing you. She relaxes into the connection, which allows desire to surface naturally. The moment doesn't feel engineered, it feels organic. Now, another crucial point: the way you express desire matters more than the desire itself. Men often ask, how should I ask? As if the right words are magic. The truth is, words are only effective when they carry the energy of emotional steadiness. A woman doesn't respond to phrases, she responds to state. For example, instead of saying, do you want to, with underlying tension or hope, a grounded approach would be, I enjoy being close to you like this. No demand, no pressure, simply an observation of connection. This communicates desire without creating responsibility or urgency for her. And here's where many men fail emotionally: attachment to the answer. If you need her to say yes to feel validated, your nervous system signals urgency. She senses it instantly. Her nervous system reacts with caution. Desire, which was present, begins to retract. Contrast that with a man who can hold desire without needing immediate fulfillment. His emotional presence becomes a container, not a trigger. She feels free to explore her feelings rather than defend against yours. That freedom often becomes the very reason she says yes. This is not a trick. It is psychological clarity. It is a deep understanding of how human attachment and desire interact in intimate moments. Men who grasp this don't manipulate, they align. They create an environment where intimacy can emerge safely, naturally, and mutually. The final insight here is about timing and observation. Every moment communicates, whether you speak or not. Your posture, breathing, subtle facial expressions, and even the rhythm of your conversation all send messages. The woman's response isn't just to what you say, it's to how you are being. Mastering this means cultivating awareness of both your desire and her cues. Desire is your own, receptivity is hers. When these two can coexist without tension, intimacy becomes a shared choice, not a request that risks rejection. This principle alone changes the dynamics completely. It transforms asking for intimacy from a moment of uncertainty into a natural continuation of connection that she is invited to enter willingly. And that is the core of what most men never realize. When you are fully present, listening without anticipating, touching without expecting, speaking without rehearsing, your request for intimacy doesn't feel like a demand. It feels like a continuation of what's already happening. A woman rarely rejects intimacy itself. She rejects the moment when it feels disconnected from emotional flow. And this is where many men misunderstand confidence. True confidence is not asking boldly. It's being emotionally steady regardless of the answer. When a woman feels that steadiness, something deep inside her relaxes. She doesn't feel examined. She doesn't feel rushed. She doesn't feel responsible for protecting you. She simply feels safe enough to want what she already feels. And once that safety is present, asking for intimacy no longer feels risky for either of you. Now let's talk about the part most men never notice, the internal dialogue happening inside her before she responds. When a woman is considering intimacy, she isn't asking herself, "Do I like him enough?" She's asking something far more personal and subconscious. "Do I feel emotionally relaxed with him right now?" Relaxation is the gateway, not excitement, not chemistry alone, not attraction by itself. A woman can be deeply attracted to a man and still say no if her body doesn't feel settled in his presence. And that sense of settling comes from one thing: emotional predictability. Men often think unpredictability creates desire. In small doses, it can create intrigue. But when it comes to intimacy, predictability creates trust. Predictability doesn't mean boring. It means she knows who you are in the moment. When your tone, pace, eye contact, and energy are aligned, her nervous system doesn't have to scan for danger or mixed signals. She doesn't wonder if you'll react poorly. She doesn't brace herself emotionally. This is why women often say, "It just felt right," without being able to explain why. Here's a critical insight. A woman feels safe when she senses that your emotional center is stable, even when desire is present. If your behavior shifts based on her reactions, she may feel like she's steering the emotional direction of the interaction. That creates pressure, and pressure quietly dissolves desire. This is also why silence matters more than words. Many men fill space when they're nervous. They explain, they justify, they reassure, they talk their way into safety. But what they're really doing is revealing uncertainty. Silence, when calm and grounded, communicates confidence without demand. It allows her to stay connected to her own feelings rather than reacting to yours. A man who can pause without anxiety sends a powerful message. "I am comfortable here. I am not rushing you. I am not afraid of this moment." That message is deeply regulating. There is also something important to understand about how women interpret asking. When a man asks for intimacy as a question that needs immediate resolution, her system may tense. But when he expresses desire as an observation, without urgency, her system stays open. For example, expressing presence instead of expectation, not, "So, do you want to?" but communicating, "I feel close to you right now," and allowing space. This isn't manipulation, it's emotional literacy. You're not extracting an answer, you're sharing a state. When you share a state calmly, you give her permission to check in with herself rather than react to you. And when she checks in with herself without pressure, her true desire has room to surface. Here's the paradox most men struggle with. The less you need a specific response, the safer it feels for her to offer one. This doesn't mean pretending not to care. It means caring without gripping the outcome. A woman becomes receptive when she feels that intimacy would be an extension of connection, not a decision she must defend or justify. And when that happens, her yes is not just verbal, it's embodied. You'll feel it in her ease, in her closeness, in her willingness to remain present rather than retreat. Understanding this changes everything, not because it gives you control, but because it removes the invisible barriers that create rejection in the first place. Now let's go deeper into what often separates men who are repeatedly rejected from those who rarely are. It's not charm, it's not looks, it's not even timing, it's emotional rhythm, the unspoken cadence that exists between two people in a moment. Think about it like this. A woman's body is constantly scanning for subtle shifts in energy, micro expressions, tone of voice, posture, breathing. She is subconsciously measuring whether this interaction feels safe enough to be intimate. Men rarely notice these micro signals because they are too focused on their own desire. They think the words they speak carry the weight. They believe, if I just phrase it right, she will respond. But what really matters is the invisible dialogue happening before the words are even processed. Here's what you need to understand. Desire alone cannot create intimacy. Pressure destroys it. Emotional safety builds it. When a man wants intimacy but doesn't regulate his inner state, his energy signals, I need this from you. Even if he says nothing about needing it, her body reads it. Her nervous system tightens. Her brain starts protective patterns. And suddenly, even if attraction exists, she hesitates. Contrast that with a man whose desire is present but contained. He notices her cues. He remains grounded. He doesn't rush. His energy communicates calm and stability. This is the subtle difference between a maybe and a yes. A common mistake is misreading flirtation as immediate consent. She might lean in, laugh, touch your arm, but that doesn't mean she is ready for intimacy. These signals indicate interest, curiosity, or connection, not permission. If a man misinterprets them and moves too quickly, her nervous system flags it as pressure. That's why good vibes can suddenly vanish when he asks. So, what creates readiness? First, attunement. Observe her energy as if you are reading music. When she slows down, slows her breathing, mirrors your posture, or maintains eye contact without tension, her nervous system is co-regulating with yours. This is the invisible invitation. Second, timing. The right moment isn't just minutes or hours. It's the internal emotional rhythm between you. If her nervous system is relaxed, if her attention is on connection rather than judgment, she is open to intimacy. If she is distracted, tense, or self-conscious, any request, even gentle, may feel heavy. Third, framing. How you ask matters less than the state you embody while asking. A man who is grounded, accepting, and emotionally complete, regardless of her answer, creates an environment where intimacy becomes a natural, mutual decision rather than a test or obligation. And here's the key insight most men miss. When she says yes under these conditions, it's not a concession. It's a choice freely made, from a place of desire that was already present, but only able to emerge because you allowed space, calm, and safety. This is why emotional mastery matters more than confidence or strategy. Men often chase techniques, phrases, or tricks, but women respond first to emotional presence. The words are only a vessel. The energy behind them is what unlocks receptivity. By understanding and embodying this, you move from a man asking for intimacy to a man creating an environment where intimacy is a shared experience, not a transaction. The difference is subtle, invisible to most, but profoundly felt. And it is this understanding, this quiet, grounded mastery, that dramatically reduces rejection without ever manipulating or pressuring her. One of the most overlooked aspects of intimacy is patience combined with presence. Most men think they need to accelerate the moment, prove desire, or demonstrate confidence. But true receptivity comes from something far subtler: internal alignment. A woman needs her nervous system to feel both engaged and safe. That alignment builds gradually when a man embodies desire without rushing it. Patience doesn't mean passivity. It means being fully present while staying attuned to her energy. You are aware, responsive, yet never demanding. When you achieve this, her mind and body stop scanning for danger. She stops worrying about disappointing you. She relaxes into the connection, and desire surfaces naturally. The moment feels organic, not forced. How you express desire matters more than the words themselves. Men often think phrasing is key, but words carry weight only when matched with emotional steadiness. Instead of asking, "Do you want to?" with hope or tension, a grounded approach is, "I enjoy being close to you." No demand, no urgency, just a statement of connection. Attachment to the answer is another trap. If you need her yes to feel validated, your nervous system signals pressure. She senses it instantly. Desire retracts. In contrast, a man who holds desire without grasping creates a container for her own choice. When presence, patience, and emotional alignment combine, intimacy becomes a mutual continuation, not a request that risks rejection. This principle transforms the dynamic entirely. The most overlooked factor in intimacy isn't charm, timing, or attraction, it's emotional containment. A man who can hold desire without forcing it communicates something almost magnetic. I am present, grounded, and my need does not control this moment. This isn't manipulation, it's emotional maturity in action. Rejection often isn't about her interest, it's about tension. When desire carries need, even subtly, her nervous system detects it. She may feel attraction, but she also feels pressure. Her subconscious question becomes, can I be close without managing him? Women rarely reject desire itself, they reject tension. And the paradox is simple: the less you need a specific outcome, the more freely she can give one. Timing and pacing matter more than words. Many men think escalating the moment secures a yes, but escalation without attunement triggers instinctive protection. Small gestures, calm presence, and measured closeness signal safety. Desire is present but not demanding. This allows her body to say yes freely, without fear or tension. Language plays a subtle role. Instead of asking loaded questions, share your experience. I enjoy being close to you, or being here with you feels natural. These statements express desire without demanding a response. They allow her to decide from her own internal rhythm. Self regulation is essential. A man who stays emotionally calm regardless of her reaction communicates stability. Her nervous system perceives this as safety. Desire becomes welcome, not forced. Fluctuations in her interest, sometimes moving closer, sometimes pulling back, are not rejection. They are cues, signals of how aligned her nervous system is with yours. Attunement, patience, and presence let you navigate these naturally. Here's the essential truth: the less you push, the more she is drawn. The calmer and more grounded your presence, the freer she feels. And when freedom exists, desire naturally surfaces. By embodying this, holding desire without needing a response, observing cues without pressure, and maintaining presence, you create a space where intimacy is not demanded, but offered willingly. This is the subtle, psychologically powerful state most men never learn. It's not about tricks or persuasion. It's about creating an environment where she feels safe enough to express what she already feels.